Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. Welcome to CBC Windsor News. Human trafficking is a problem across the country, but especially in the province of Ontario, where there are more cases than the national average. In tonight's top story, we'll tell you how one sector is doing its part to crack down on the crimes. There's a push to get local hotels and motels to train their staff to recognize human trafficking cases and on what to do next. And here's why one hotel sector leader says it's particularly important in Windsor, Essex.
Windsor's location as a border city and travel hub puts us at greater risk, so this is being proactive in protecting vulnerable individuals.
It's a free program called Not in Our Hotel, and it's a national movement. Patel is now making a push to get more Ontario and Windsor Essex hotels on board.
Unfortunately, hotels can often be used for this kind of activity without the staff even realizing it. So the push is more to offer the training and tools that they'll need to spot these things.
He says most big chains are already trained in spotting trafficking, so they're now trying to target smaller hotels and motels that might not be as aware.
Spot the signs, things to look for, and we don't want you to take action on it. We want you to kind of like report and escalate it so that the issues are addressed.
Signs like someone wanting to pay in cash, a lot of traffic in and out of a particular room, looking out for signs of fear. Shelley Gilbert is the executive director of Legal Assistance of Windsor and has worked closely on these kinds of cases. She says many people being trafficked are moved through hotels and motels.
It's a place where people are often brought to temporarily, maybe working out of that hotel, or they may just be there before being moved someplace else. So, they're an important piece of the ability for us to recognize what's happening in our communities and reach out to survivors.
As for how prevalent trafficking is in Windsor, Essex, Gilbert says it's not so different from other communities.
We have very large number of temporary foreign workers in this community. We are part of the 401 corridor. That's something for us to think about. Whether that means that we're a hotbed, I'm not sure of, but it's certainly important for us to recognize that those circumstances for people, those particular industries that they're working in, could all be susceptible to human traffickers.
For the Hotel Association, this is an ongoing push, with a particular focus on Windsor, Essex that's going to continue in the coming months. In other news, Premier Doug Ford says he does not trust Donald Trump. Speaking to journalists this afternoon, Ford says the province and the country have to prepare for whatever the U.S. president may throw at them. And Ford says that means building here at home, especially mega projects that could protect the steel industry.
Let's start building large ships that we know that the only steel company that can do those large sheets of steel is Algoma. We could support them. Let's do something big. Let's do something like aircraft carrier size that everyone benefits around the country and pick up morale, and that's what we need to do. But we need to do it faster, quicker, and immediately. We have to get rid of the red tape and regulations and start moving quickly. Folks, Kuzma's coming. I'll tell you it's coming. I know it's coming. And he's going to come at us with double barrels, so we better be ready and throw everything in the kitchen sink at this.
A proposed and highly contested Ontario dump is moving closer to becoming reality, but opponents hope that stopping it is still within their grasp. Dawson Chen reports.
All signs point to a large waste disposal site being close to a reality in the small town of Dresden, Ontario. Legislation has been passed, contracts have been signed, and there's heavy equipment on the property. But some residents aren't giving up their fight against what's being called the Dresden dump. Organizers Angie Mills-Richard and Luann DeLine say they're planning a human chain protest at the site this weekend.
The goal is to bring everybody together for one thing and for the government and everyone to see in person how close this dump is. We just need everybody to speak up and stand together and say, look, no.
It's not just our small town. This affects all of Ontario. I'm not sure if Dresden understands how big of a deal this is. This is 6,000 tons of garbage coming a day from Toronto. I just don't understand why they would pick this spot.
The protest has municipal support and will not block traffic. Organizer Jody Lynn-Jeunesse says the human chain is meant to show the nearness of the dump site to Dresden institutions, businesses, and homes.
My property is very close to this. I have kids, and the school is very close to this site. We're just worried about all of our children and the air for years to come.
The protesters are calling for the repeal of Bill 5, the provincial legislation that passed in June and allows York One Environmental Waste Solutions to develop the site faster. Organizers say they've invited Lambton-Kent Middlesex MPP Stephen Pinsonneau and Premier Doug Ford to their event. Both have gone silent about the dump project. Pinsonneau's office did not respond to CBC Windsor's request for comment. A spokesperson for Ontario's Minister of Environment said the site already has waste permissions and the project will still undergo extensive environmental processes, despite the fact that Bill 5 specifically exempts the project from environmental assessment requirements. Dresden resident Wendy Vercauteren vows she'll continue to oppose the provincial government's plan.
I'm an optimist, and I've lived my life with optimism. So I still have optimism that we can win this fight. Every time that somebody says a lost cause, yep, but you know what? Sometimes that lost cause isn't a lost cause. Sometimes that lost cause turns into a successful cause.
The human chain is expected to happen on Sunday, August 10th at 1 p.m. Dawson Chen, CBC News, Chatham-Kent.
Time now for our first look at weather with Colette Kennedy. How's it going out there, Colette?
Yeah, we're looking at a pretty pleasant day generally in terms of what we've experienced, and we have more of the same really as we move forward in time. So through the evening hours, that temperature holding or just dipping a little bit. Overnight tonight, 20 degrees, a mild overnight. Tomorrow morning, your sunrise, 6:31, 21 degrees, and then by the afternoon, it does look like we're pushing up, not quite to 30, but just about there. And in terms about how it's going to feel, well, it is going to feel like we're in the 30s. Going to get even warmer from there. I'll tell you about that coming up.
Thanks very much, Colette.
In Windsor, Essex, garages aren't simply a space just to store a vehicle. For some, it drives their creativity. Some in the area are turning the idea of a garage on its head.
Hi, my name is Rick, and I have a little obsession with beer caps. I seen a video on YouTube, and they did a wall, and I said, oh, that's too easy. They're just placing random. I'm gonna do something even more bigger. So I decided to do my ceiling with beer caps. There's over 60,000 beer caps on the ceiling. There's probably over 60 different brands up here. I have some old school caps from Budweiser that features NFL, NHL. I have a motorcycle, a portrait of Jim Morrison. And it's been quite, I don't know, overwhelming, but in the meantime, it was very rewarding.
From beer cap art to flower arrangements, this South Windsor woman has converted her garage space into a flower shop.
We moved here 10 years ago, and I was working in a flower shop. And I thought this is a very good location because there are no flower shops around. So we turn our garage into a flower shop.
Grandma sells arrangements and other items in-store and online. She says there are advantages like convenience and lowered rent, and recommends garage conversion to those who want the challenge.
You need to be good and to be a little bit original because there's a lot of competition. But as long as you're very good and you pursue that, then you can do it.
Urban designer Dorian Moore says the trend of using garage spaces for more than just car storage is partly due to the rising cost of housing.
So people have been, renovating existing homes, expanding existing homes, and then this is just one other option to gain more space in the house.
Our final stop is in Thomas Dobos' garage, where he built his own rock climbing gym.
It's set at 40 degrees, and it connects to an app that has about 80,000 problems set by people around the world. And yeah, you start on like the green LED, and you continue up throughout the blues, finish on the red. And yeah, it's a good training board and a lot of fun.
A rock climber for over 9 years, Dobos practices 3 to 4 times a week from the comfort of his home. He regularly hosts training sessions with friends and says it's fun seeing first-timers try to climb.
Honestly, the first reaction is that this is easy. I want to try it out, and they get on it and then realize that it's a 40-degree angle. It's harder than it looks, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun.
So whether your garage is a work of art, a flower shop, or a rock climbing wall, there's endless possibilities for your garage. Justin Escoto, CBC News, Windsor.
That is so much fun. So from garages to cars. We all know someone who is proud of how long or far they've managed to push their old car. Well, they are going to love this story of a Nova Scotia man who is still driving his 1985 Toyota Tercel. It is reliable, it is in great shape. There's only one problem. The odometer doesn't go high enough. And if it did, it would show enough clicks to get him to the moon and back almost 3 times. CBC's Francis Willick has the story.
Andy Campbell's ride may not look like much to your average driver. Maybe a bit dated, a bit low-tech, a throwback to an earlier time when cassettes were in vogue and backup cameras were just a gleam in a car designer's eye. But if you take a closer look, you'll see there's something special about this 1985 Toyota Tercel. Not only does it run perfectly, not only is it pretty much in mint condition, look even closer. The only thing wrong with this Tercel is that the odometer doesn't go up high enough. It says 253,000 kilometers, but it's missing a 1, as in 1 million. This car has more than 1.25 million kilometers.
So I am looking for the next million, but geez, I don't know if I'm going to live long enough.
Don't believe him? He's got proof, and he carries it with him wherever he goes.
There's one of all of the 9s and the 0s, right? See, the 1.6 kilometer. Brand new car, man, 1 kilometer on it, right?
Campbell bought the car in Halifax for $2,500 around 1990. Over the years, he stashed away enough spare parts to try to keep it going for 1 million more. Except for the front end alignment, he does all the maintenance himself. Almost everything has been replaced or repaired. Campbell says the body is probably the only original part left, and that's had work done on it too. Campbell says although the 85 Tercel has seen a lot of road, he mostly just takes it around the Maritimes or sometimes to Newfoundland. But he does have a backup vehicle just in case.
Would you like to see my new car? This is my new one, 86. How you like it?
I love it.
So do I.
Campbell says he's not really a car guy or a Toyota guy or even a Tercel guy. It's just his Tercel that he's so passionate about. If you've got your checkbook out wanting to make Campbell an offer, he says you're wasting your time. This Tercel isn't and never will be for sale. Francis Willick, CBC News, Wise's Corner.
I'm smiling so hard from that story. And our next story is on an Ontario tennis sensation. Victoria Mbako is on to the semifinals at the National Bank Open in Montreal. The 18-year-old from Toronto is the first Canadian to get this far since 2019. Sarah Levitt has more on her breakout season.
Extraordinary. She came into the tournament as a wild card and has proven she belongs here.
She has emerged this evening.
The 18-year-old from Toronto with an outstanding match, only needing an hour to take out tennis superstar Coco Gauff. Her most high-profile win yet.
I don't even know what to say still. I was kind of shocked about it all. Everything kind of came so fast. There were so many people.
Mesdames et messieurs, Eugénie Bouchard.
Montreal's National Bank Open started with news of Eugénie Bouchard's retirement, once the face of Canadian women's tennis. Now the attention has shifted to the future in Mbako.
Thank you. Good night.
It's just the latest in a breakthrough season. This is only her 8th official Women's Tennis Association tournament, but already she's skyrocketed up the rankings.
To be honest, I'm not surprised.
Pierre Lamarche used to coach Mbako. When she was 12, he says they made a 6-year plan to get her in the top 100. Beating Gauff put her at 55th.
From when she was 4 and started playing, she just hates losing. I mean, losing is not her DNA whatsoever.
Her success at 18 shows us how resilient Canadians are.
She seems very calm, very positive.
Oh, that's incredible.
It's incredible what she's doing so far.
That was CBC's Sarah Levitt reporting from Montreal. Stay with us. We will be back with international news. Welcome back. Prime Minister Mark Carney has held a virtual meeting with his cabinet. He also met virtually with the premiers. It comes after Donald Trump hiked tariffs to 35% last week on Canadian goods not covered by CUSMA. Power and Politics spoke with the Minister of Finance, François-Philippe Champagne, who is at trade talks in Mexico City. And he was asked about Canada's failure to reach a trade deal by Trump's August 1st deadline, and if it had anything to do with Ottawa's decision to impose retaliatory tariffs on the U.S.
When I compare the position of Canada today with a lot of our partners around the world, I think the Prime Minister yesterday was clear when he said about 85% of goods are crossing the border to the United States under the CUSMA agreement that we have, tariff-free. So that's a position that I would say we have achieved by standing up. And I think Canadians are really with us on that.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government is expected to approve a plan Thursday for a full military takeover of Gaza. The United Nations calls Netanyahu's plan deeply alarming. It says such a move would put both Palestinians and the hostages still held by Hamas in further danger. Israeli media is reporting opposition from within the military to Netanyahu's plan, and hundreds of former security officials are warning against it. Israel has been facing mounting international pressure to end its nearly two-year war in Gaza, where experts say a famine is unfolding. In northern India, flash flooding has killed at least 4 people and left many others trapped under debris in some Himalayan villages. Dozens of others are missing. Rescuers used a makeshift zip line over raging waters to bring people to safety. Floodwaters were triggered by intense rainfall in a narrow mountainous area, sweeping away homes, roads, and markets. Some crews were left to move rocks and mud with their bare hands in a hunt for survivors. Emergency officials report at least 190 rescues so far in the region. And cities around the world marked 80 years since the U.S. dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima, Japan. Tens of thousands of people were killed instantly. It was the first and so far only time nuclear weapons were used in war. As Chris Reyes reports, the anniversary comes amid worries over rising nuclear threats.
A city still grieving the horrors of nuclear war 80 years later. Together, Hiroshima marked the exact minute the atomic bomb was dropped, unleashing a destruction never before seen. More than 130,000 people were killed, more than 60,000 instantly. Devastating injuries still linger. We must not repeat the tragedy, says the Japanese Prime Minister.
The bomb was exploded.
And a grave warning from a survivor of Nagasaki, where a second bomb was dropped 3 days after Hiroshima.
The entire human race is on the brink of nuclear war.
At this gathering, renewed calls for a world free of nuclear weapons.
We really want countries to uphold their commitment to stop stockpiling nuclear weapons and to sign up to the Global Ban Treaty.
The message of Hiroshima comes at a time of conflict and tensions between nuclear powers. The question, how to prevent further escalation.
How do we make sure that additional states don't see nuclear weapons as the only way to ensure their security? But I think that also needs to be balanced against the reality of the threats.
In recent weeks, Russia and the U.S., the world's 2 biggest nuclear powers, have exchanged veiled threats over the use of nuclear weapons. Even with messages of peace everywhere in Hiroshima, this resident worries that Japan is surrounded by 3 nuclear-powered countries. Kozo Morien says, "I think it's necessary for us to strengthen our defense capabilities." On a day full of reminders of nuclear destruction, a world grapples with how to prevent another disaster. Chris Reyes, CBC News, London.
We will be right back with Colette Kennedy with our full weather forecast. Stay with us. Colette Kennedy is back with us now for more on weather. And Colette, I know that you're keeping an eye on air quality because we are unfortunately back on the decline.
Yeah, we're seeing a little bit more of that particulate matter in our atmosphere. And with that, you know, last hour, I only have the reading so far. It hasn't updated, but from 5 o'clock, we were back around moderate in terms of our air quality health index at a 5. You want to be in those lower numbers. Your air quality is better when you're in the lower end, but we're at 5, which puts us in the moderate risk. The forecast is for it to come down to about a 4 as we move through tonight. But that's still moderate. It's just the lower end of that moderate range. Okay, just something to watch. We also had, you know, the reporting of more haze, which is some of that smoky haze again from last hour. So the other thing going on, not only do we have to be watching that smoke coming in and out of our forecast, but also just talking about what's going on with the heat. I mean, it's pretty comfortable, seasonal in terms of what we have right now, but we're going to have some of this heat beginning to build in. So watch that upper airflow as we get some cooler air pushing into the prairies and moving eastward there. We see not only the red coloration here, but look how we get into these deeper reds moving in by the time we get to the end of the weekend. So the temperatures will be going up a little bit, but especially as we get to Sunday, Monday, watch out because not only will the heat be there, the humidity will be up, those dew points will increase, and so it's going to feel muggy, sticky, somewhat more oppressive, and that's when we'll be watching to see if we meet that heat warning criteria, and Environment Canada issues some heat warnings. Our current temperatures then looking like this, a lot of 27s around the board. We bring in the humidity, our Humidex values, they're not that far off where the temperature is, so fairly comfortable. Again, we have this trough that's sort of in place close by, and with that, it gives a little bit of lift, but there's just not much moisture to work with, so a few pop-up showers kind of bubbling up. We're on the dry side, and quite likely that will stay there. So I've got a 30% risk for an isolated shower tonight and even into tomorrow, but just watch for that ridge of high pressure because that has to do with getting the flow from the south to southwest. It's going to be pushing the heat up, but also bringing in a little bit of that smoke and the concentration going up a bit. Nothing like, of course, closer to the fire zone and what we are experiencing, or they are experiencing there. So again, dry, we could use some moisture, certainly more than what we're seeing, but here and there, consider yourself lucky, quite frankly, if we do get a little bit of a shower rolling on through. Overnight tonight, your lows around 19 to 20 degrees.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, Colette. Thanks everybody for watching. Catch you tomorrow.